Hey, what's up, everybody? And welcome to the Misadventurland Games Show. I'm Bobby Shortle, and I'm here with Justin Townsend.
Hello.
Justin, we haven't seen your face. I haven't seen that face in 84 years.
It's been 84 years. I know. It's been a bit.
hmm.
But I'm here.
I mean,
I'm
you
here
were on
now.
the stream on Friday,
I
but
was.
no face.
No face. It's good you couldn't see my face because most of the time I was on mute being like this. Just head and hands cursing the Among Us gods.
Podcast should be called The Funhouse. Gurun, we are going to be doing several different kinds of podcasts from now on. Like we're going to be doing this video game show which we're doing right now, and then we're going to we have a couple other ideas we're kicking around. So maybe one of them will be called The Funhouse.
Why not?
Yeah, so this is our, well, it used to be our monthly gaming podcast. We think it's going to be a bi-monthly podcast now, 2 times a month.
Yes.
We're going to do this, and then we're actually going to try to do a podcast every week. Oh, didn't the raid? Oh, the alert didn't come up, Mark. I'm sorry. Mark raided us. Well, thank you for the raid, Ursus Fidelis. I appreciate it. I don't know why it didn't pop. It may be because it's like the new rule or whatever, where it has to be a certain amount of people for a raid to pop in their alerts. It's so stupid.
So dumb.
It's very dumb. But yeah. So we are gonna do it twice a month, I believe, and then we're gonna fill the other 2 weeks with other things. We already know what one of them is gonna be for sure. Just the other one that we're don't really know yet.
We're gonna rotate that one around.
Yeah, maybe. probably so it'll probably be like 3 of the same things every month, and one sort of like floating podcast every month. But we got video games to talk about tonight. I mean, in a month we're gonna have new consoles to talk about, which is pretty crazy.
I'm very excited.
I was on Mark's stream, Ursus Fidelis, earlier, and I was telling him that I got a Go XLR, Justin, this USB interface, and I can do fun things like do this.
Hello, Justin. How are you? Welcome to the show.
It's great. Can you do other ones too?
Oh, yes, I can.
I can do this.
I can do this.
I could do this. This is just very boomy and open, like I'm in a big, huge room.
You sound like you're underwater.
And then I've got this. And then I've got this I got this very hello hard-tuned thing. I can do a bunch of different stuff. You got to program it differently on all of them.
You've muted yourself now.
I
can't hear you at all.
It also has a cough button, which is nice.
Ooh, I like cough buttons.
Click that. And it also has a listen, you mother, as a bleep button as well. So
I didn't hear the bleep though.
oh well, the stream hears the bleep.
All right, well that's all that matters. I hear the crackling.
That was my nightmare. So yeah, so it's good. I mean, mainly it's just really good because it's a very good mic interface, and also it has 4 separate like audio devices in it, so I can put Discord on one of them on a slider over here,
okay,
and go up and down with it, and bring it into the stream just like on its own, and not have to do like Elgato sound capture or anything like that. And I can choose like, okay, Discord's gonna hear my voice and it's gonna hear like music and the music I'm playing, but it's not gonna hear the game I'm playing. Or like if we were doing something like we did with Return to the Hunt, I want Justin to be able to hear the game sound as well as my voice. So I'll put both on these sliders and you can hear both of them. It's got some cool stuff to it.
that is neat.
It is neat. It's a nice little piece of fun gear to have. But we are here to talk about. Let's remember to watch the replay for Friday's stream. Yes, Grun, you must. Were you in the path of the hurricane? I know Cody lost power. I know that. Were you in the path, Grun? Did you have any fallout from the hurricane this weekend? We're gonna talk about, well, whoever can answer. We're gonna talk about Hades for sure this evening. You were, Grun. Did you lose power or anything? We're going to talk about Hades. We're going to talk about a game called The Solitaire Conspiracy, which I've been playing and actually really enjoying, which is a weird thing to say.
I'm excited to hear about this.
We're going to talk about the Avengers. We're going to talk about Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War beta. We have a bunch of stuff to do.
Talk about Among Us.
Talk about Among Us, which we were playing on Friday. Got a lot of games to talk about. And then there was some, PS5, Series X, slash Series S type of news and stuff that came out in the interim. So we have that stuff to talk about. We have some questions from our Discord as well. And if you wish to ask us a question, and you're not part of Discord yet, come in Discord and go to the Ask the Podcast a Question category. So Justin,
tell me.
Let's talk about. Let's not bury the lead, Justin. Let's talk about Hades.
Hades, real good. It's real good. Yeah, Mark has a question for us. 2020, am I right? Yes.
This guy knows what I'm talking about.
Very much, yes. I'm looking at this transition. It is fancy. Jeez. Okay, so Hades is what I was hoping would be the game that would settle the great Supergiant debate for us. Whether, Bobby has always leaned Bastion, I've always leaned Transistor.
One of us is correct, one of us isn't.
We won't say who it is. We'll leave it up to the masses. It's Transistor.
Flash poll in the chat. What game is better, Bastion or Transistor? Let us know.
We were always, the both of us were kind of not, I wouldn't say lukewarm. It's just Pyre didn't hit us in the same way. I think the further I get away from Pyre, I enjoy it. I enjoy it more. I think playing it all in one day was a mistake.
You played it all in one day?
One day. I was super sick. I was very sick. And I played that game for like 15 hours. But I was hoping that Hades would be the game that would kind of unite us in, actually, this is the best game Supergiant has made. And I'm saying that it is the best game that Supergiant has made.
Okay.
So Hades is a roguelite. It is a story-centric roguelike light that has some of the best combat I've felt in one of those games. A killer soundtrack and a very good story all wrapped up in one package. And that is really difficult to do for roguelikes. And so yeah, I'm super taken with it. I have played probably about 15 hours so far, I'm gonna say. I have not made it to the end yet, because the game I think is kind of difficult. But it's one of those games where you die and you want to just get right back in there. You're not frustrated by it. You just want to do another run. And when I'm not playing Hades, I'm thinking about playing Hades, or I'm listening to Hades soundtrack. So I know that you've played less than I have. What are your thoughts on it?
I have played less than you have. But I do love it. I think that, like you said, it feels amazing and it looks amazing, and the music is, it slaps. They're all bangers. Darren Korb is just a great composer, a great video game composer. Why'd you look at me? Why'd you look like that, Justin? That's his name, right?
Yes, no, it's Darren Korb.
Okay,
it's Darren Korb.
I said that, and immediately your face went like this, and I was like, okay, did I say his name wrong?
No. It's definitely Darren Korb, who voices the main character.
Yeah, that's right. And I absolutely adore it. I think that it is the first one since Bastion, the first of their games since Bastion, that has a chance, once I've played more of it, for me to like it more than Bastion. It has like it has been a long time since I played Bastion, right? But I'm getting the same sort of I guess emotional feedback to playing the game as I got when I played Bastion. Just that sense of, man, I just love the way this feels, and I love the way like the different sort of abilities play off of each other. I love the way that the mechanics are tied into the story as well, which is, I think, I think that they always do very well, which is to make mechanics a big part of the narrative that they're telling.
Yeah.
And much like and the thing I think that puts it above a lot of roguelikes or roguelites is that that story does continue to go even in between like like quote unquote failed runs, right? You're always getting something like out of the match or out of your run, regardless of the fact if you do well or not in that run.
Yeah.
And I really like that a lot.
I think the amazing thing is, I mean, Supergiant is known for interesting games, but I would say mostly narrative-driven games.
Mhm.
And when it was announced a couple of years ago, they're like, "Oh, we're doing a roguelike." I was like, "Really? I don't know." Like, 'cause roguelikes, even the great ones. Do you know anything that happens in Dead Cells
No.
or Slay the Spire or Rogue Legacy? Like the great ones, all it's about the way the game feels more than anything else, and how you just want to
Right.
get back in there and do it. And part of what's driving me in this one is the fact that it has such an interesting narrative. And for
Yeah.
those who don't know, the narrative of Hades is that you are Zagreus, you are the son of Hades, and you are trying to escape the underworld. And the other gods that live on Olympus have just discovered about your existence, and they're trying to help you. Your father, Hades, doesn't want you to leave. And so getting out of Hades is ascending the different levels. And the levels are constantly changing. They're procedurally generated. You know what? I take it back. They're not really procedurally generated because there's a lot of the same areas, but they're never in the same order. So
Oh no, guys, I hung up on you, Justin.
You hung up on me. It's okay. I'm used to it.
I went to switch the the windows I was looking at, and I accidentally clicked hang and call.
Excellent.
Keep going.
So as you're ascending the depths of hell, the other gods are sending you assistance. So you start out and you have a weapon, and there's a couple of different weapons that you can unlock and choose, and they're all Titan slaying weapons.
Mhm.
And like Zeus might be the first person that you come across, and he's like, "Nephew, I'm going to give you this thing that does this," and so your attack will grow stronger or have lightning effects. And you come across all the different gods: the god of wine, Athena, Ares, and basically any god that you could think of. Especially if you've played Smite, you'll come across a lot of them. And they're all giving you different boons. And then there's, at the end of each room, you can make a choice to go left or go right. And then depending on where you go, there'll be either a shop or there'll be other bonuses that for when you die, you can then upgrade yourself and go back in and fight again. It just shocks me that this company that's made all these narrative games, and like, granted, I thought the combat and combat puzzles in Transistor were terrific. It just shocks me they've made maybe the best feeling one of these games I've ever played. I have now, I think, put it ahead of Dead Cells, which was the previous top spot of my leaderboard. And it's just like, oh yeah, these guys can do basically anything. Like, they tell a good story. They have great music in all of their games. They always find the most amazing narrator to narrate the games for you. And by the way, they just figured out combat in a big way. And it's like a 15-person studio.
Yeah, I mean, you should watch Danny O'Dwyer No Clip. He did like documentaries on every single one of their games, and
Yeah, I need to watch that.
And also did like a big long running thing on Hades while it was in early access up until its release. So, and they're really, really good. And when you watch the one about Transistor is very interesting because it goes through sort of like the changes that game kind of went through and how they got to where they were and how it started and where it ended up and all that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty like fascinating watch.
It's actually got me wanting to go back and maybe take another look at some of their games. Like, I kind of want to go back and because they had the whole buy the Supergiant bundle on Steam, and I was like, I could run through Bastion again. Like, I want to take another look at Bastion, and I would start up Transistor again, and even take a look at Pyre, just because, like, man, if you asked me, like, oh, Justin, you could work at any developer in the world. We're gonna bestow upon you actual talent, and you can choose the developer that you want to go work for. I would have a hard time saying no to Supergiant. Their games are so flipping cool.
The games are very, very cool. Absolutely. And we'll probably bring up Hades again a little bit later in the show when we get to one of our listener questions. Because it's definitely going to come up when we talk about it. So what else have we been playing, Justin? Let's talk about Avengers, because it's been a minute since I played it. And I want to... Mark says, you are so flipping cool in the chat. Mark's very sweet. Let's talk about Avengers.
Let's do it.
Marvel's Avengers from Square Enix and Crystal D.
I have weird feelings about this game. Man, I think the game starts out strong and then kind of tapers away in the middle and then comes back and finishes nicely. But the layout of the game is just broken. Like, I would like to see a documentary on what happened with that game, because I have a feeling they were like, what is it? Crystal Dynamics, or is it Square Enix? It's Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah, I mean,
had a very focused idea of what they wanted to do, and somebody from way up high was like, "Live game,
yeah,
make it a live game."
Yeah.
And they were like, "No, we don't want to do that." And they're like, "You're gonna do it anyway."
Yeah.
And that's what happened. It feels like two very different games that are in a relationship together, but they hate each other.
Yeah. I would completely agree with you on that.
I think the strong parts of the game are like where, you're seeing what happens to the Avengers after they fail, and you're seeing it through Kamala's eyes. And that's interesting. It's interesting to see what happens to Bruce. It's interesting to see where Tony goes.
Yeah.
We have no clue where Thor goes. Like, doesn't really get into it.
No, but like he just stopped being a hero. Yeah, for a while.
And like that, all those parts are really good. It's everything else the game wants you to do that just feels like a waste of time. Like I don't see the point of any of it. And like I said, it wraps up kind of nicely, like with hey, there's still plot threads hanging here, and here comes more DLC that we'll get into, and how they're going to bring Spider-Man into this game, I have no idea, but it's a weird game.
It is a very, very weird game, and I think that you're absolutely right. I think it starts off incredibly strong, and then I think the middle of the game, I mean, the campaign is probably 8 to 10 hours long, I would say. Could be longer depending if you did a bunch of the side missions that are like contained within the single player. You don't really need to do them at all, and I did any of them. And I did a few of them after I finished the campaign, and I was like, yeah, these are just like the missions I didn't love in the campaign, basically. The middle sags, and I think the end is strong again. But I think when that game is strong is when it is a single player, third person action adventure game that has a very pointed point of view and like field of play for you to be on, right? Where it feels like, okay, like you're playing in speaking of Crystal Dynamics, like you're playing a Tomb Raider game. Like, okay, I've got my area, like I got my mission, I'm gonna go down to this thing, I'm gonna do this stuff, and it's gonna be focused, it's gonna have set pieces, it's gonna have good voice acting, and then that stuff is really great. And then you get into the open world, or like the missions that are meant to be multiplayer missions that they stick into the single player thing, and it's just, here's like a sort of open, like it's like a hub-ish area, like a mid-size open area where there are just like the same 6 objectives like across in every single one, and you have to do them, and then you have to stand on, plates while a timer ticks up, and if you move off the plate, the timer doesn't keep ticking up, so you have to kill enemies and get back on. It's just like every other game like this, right? That does this kind of stuff, and that part is disappointing. I'll say.
It seems like they took some real inspiration from Destiny from this game.
Yes.
Which would have been okay if the moment to moment playing of it felt better to me. Like a lot of what Destiny does right is like, yes, there is a lot of run here, stand here, shoot enemies. But what Destiny has is A, the shooting feels really good, and B, Destiny has really good art design.
Yes, it has great art
and
design.
So you're doing these types of things playing as Kamala Khan or Iron Man or the Hulk or Black Widow or Thor. And like, sure, like it feels fine. Like there's nothing wrong with the way that it feels, but it doesn't stand out in any particular way. Also, if I'm playing as Marvel characters in a Marvel video game, I want to go fight in central Manhattan. I want to go fight in Asgard. I want to go fight in Avengers Tower.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to fight in the fucking Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I know.
Again.
Yeah, I know.
For the 10th time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the way, like it just feels like you took these characters and you slapped them in like the middle of nowhere for most of the missions, like giant outdoor open spaces, whether it's in the snow or it's, literally in the middle of Utah.
Yeah.
Like bring me places.
Yeah.
Be like, take us on a tour of the Marvel Universe. The game is pretty much on rails for the most part anyway. You're running from point A to point B. You may as well do it in a place where it's like, hey, at least we're here.
Yeah. And they do that, like the last mission is that, right? They take you to like San Francisco, and there's like multi things to do in San Francisco. But yeah, no, absolutely. Everything is very generic. Everything is very cookie cutter. Everything is very, we've designed these like 5 spaces for you to run around in, and we're just kind of like rearrange sort of where the building is in this one, and where like the cave is in this one.
Yeah.
The other part of it too is that I agree with you, Justin. I think I would love to go to other locations that were big in the Marvel Universe. I also think like the second or third mission that you do, you fight the Abomination, and then you do not fight another major Marvel villain until the very end of the game. All the rest of it is just like, and now we've made more powerful robots, or whatever. And I take it back. You fight Taskmaster first as Black Widow, and the next boss fight you have is you're facing Abomination as Hulk. I don't understand why there isn't more of those. Like, why don't we have like, who's Iron Man's foil? Who's this person's foil? Like, it feels missed opportunity for me. If you're making an Avengers game, like that's what I want to see.
It feels like they were trying to make a Kamala Khan game, which fine, good. She's the best part of it.
Yeah.
But like the way that they use the Avengers is just wasted. Like the decisions made on that game baffle me. And I'm interested to see where they go with it, since apparently it is going to be a live game. Like, are we just getting Spider-Man and being like, go run through these same missions with Spider-Man now? Or are they going to add some sort of story stuff around it?
They have said, I believe, and if Cody's still here, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that with each new character that comes out, there's going to be story stuff with them.
Okay.
Like, they talked about Hawkeye and Hawkeyes, because it's going to be Clint and Kate. It's gonna have it's gonna be like a couple of story missions, like a micro campaign or something. So there's that. But, and again, there've been articles like this week about like, oh, the player base is dwindling in Marvel's Avengers, but don't worry, they're gonna do stuff to bring people back or whatever. And it'll be cool. Listen, if there's story stuff with the new characters, I'll play it and I'll enjoy it just fine. But they've got to do more if they ever want the game to last as a live game where people are playing it with their friends in multiplayer and everything like that, they've got to do more to like expand the way the missions feel.
I mean, they had the formula. Like if they had just taken Marvel Heroes and been like, we're gonna do this just better.
Yeah, but I mean, Marvel Heroes is a isometric like brawler game.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like you've got the Marvel license. Like
Yes, they do.
Like
well, we know they had the Avengers license. I don't know.
They have the Avengers license, but Marvel's got their hands in games now, right? Like they were signing off on the Insomniac deal.
Yes.
They basically came to Square, or Square came to them, and they were like, let's do this deal where we're going to work on multiple games together.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the first of the games, right?
Yeah.
Could have just, it's just such a missed opportunity with the license.
And I also think like, speaking of Marvel Heroes or even like Ultimate Alliance or any of those kind of games, I just wish there was like power synergy stuff with the heroes when you're playing with a group of them, because there just isn't. Like you can sort of like luck into it. Like I had times where like the Hulk like would like hit the ground, somebody would pop up in the air, and I would happen to be like Iron Man like flying by, and I'd like ram into them, and like that I feel like, okay, this is like an Avengers thing, but they have no synergy powers that you can like activate in sort of an automatic way, which is a big shame. So we'll see how the game develops, but I end up like enjoying that campaign quite a bit, but with like little to no desire to play it in any sort of like live sense.
I'm there with you. Like I was going into that game expecting a train wreck.
Mm-hmm.
Just from my limited time with the beta and everything I had been hearing about the game. And I thought the actual meat of the campaign was worth playing and enjoyable enough. It's just everything else around that package is
Yeah. So Justin, what else shall we talk about?
I mean, the biggest game in the world right now is Among Us.
It's true, and we played for a few hours the other night.
Yeah, I've played with our group on Friday, and then the weekend before, I ended up playing with our UK friends for probably like 4 hours combined. And I'm terrible at that game. I am pure garbage. I don't understand how people lie so well. And I'm bad at it. It doesn't help that I was the imposter the other day about 13 rounds in a row.
Yes, you were the imposter a lot of times in a row.
Man, but it's an interesting game.
Yeah,
it's a neat social thing.
It's a very neat social thing. I mean, it is very reminiscent of, if people, I'm sure everybody here in this who's watching this knows what Among Us is. But if you don't know what Among Us is, it is a video game that sort of takes its inspiration from games like Mafia or Werewolf or Avalon, where you have a group of people. The majority of them are the good guys, and there's one or two bad guys in it that are trying to sabotage the mission for the rest of the crew. So in this game, there are crewmates and imposters. The imposters are trying to either kill the other crewmates or we'll try to kill them, but also like they can sabotage the ship, and certain kinds of sabotage, if they're not caught before the timer runs out, they also win. So there's aspect of it, and then there is the social aspect of it, where if a body is found or somebody suspicious, they can call a meeting, and then you have like your kind of like social, hey, if we're all in Discord together, we're all kind of going back and forth, asking each other questions about, hey Justin, what were you doing before this body was found? Justin says, shut up, I don't know enough about the game to tell you what I've been doing. You're gonna think it's me anyway, and then just is quiet for the rest of the time. But you ask either questions, you try to figure out where people are. People will vouch for each other, and you can vote to kick people out of the ship, like out of the airlock. And if you kick the right person out, obviously the crewmates win. If you don't kick the right person out, you keep going. You can have one or two saboteurs. So we were playing and we turned off the. You can either play with a notice on that says like when you kick the right person out of the airlock, or the notice is off. So you can just be like, okay, Justin got booted. If we had the notices on, it would say Justin was an imposter or he was not an imposter. But if it off, it just says Justin got kicked out of the airlock. And then you have to hope that you got rid of the right person and that there's only one other imposter left.
Yeah, I think that adds the correct amount of tension to the game.
It does.
Yeah, we played Friday night and we had a great stream. We're definitely gonna do more community nights where we get people in to play with us. A lot of laughter, a lot of me just failing at everything. Basically, yep, Bobby was right. People asking me like, "What were you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know." Like, Bobby, you cornered me in one of them. I like gave myself away, and I forget how I did it.
But I didn't corner you. This is how not good you are at lying. This is when we were playing before the stream, when we were playing with your son and Melissa's son, and I found a body, and I'm like, okay, I found the body. I think I saw this person walking it out. I think Justin was near where I was, and Justin goes, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm on the other side of the ship. And I was like, I didn't say where the body was, Justin.
Yeah, I gave myself away.
He goes, yeah, but.
I ended up just being like, fuck. Well, I didn't say that because Jorah was in the room.
There. At one point, we're playing with him, and Justin is the killer, and he wins, and his son and Jorah goes, but I trusted you, Daddy. I was like, oh man,
you shouldn't have.
You shouldn't have trusted your dad.
That's okay. Jorah was the killer, and I knew he was the killer because he wasn't on mute, and he's like,
yeah.
And so he's like following me around, and I'm like, I'm just gonna let him take me out. And he comes and he stabs me in the back. And Bobby North, old host of Talking Games, watched it happen, and then immediately called out Megs, and it was like, oh, it was Megs. And then we were playing on one map, and I had not even played there before. I had no idea what any of the objectives were, and I was the imposter like 5 times in a row on that map. And at one point, Mark calls me out, and he's like, "What were you doing?" And I was like, "I don't even know what I'm supposed to lie about." So the one time I did good was I tricked everybody into thinking that I wasn't like just an idiot when I was the imposter, and I was like, I'm just watching these monitors to try and figure out how Mark does it.
Yeah.
And I slowly weeded out everybody that way.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun, and I mean the key to those games for me is to examine how I behave for myself to play better at the game. Examine how I behave when I am not the imposter, and then try to just emulate that when I am the imposter, essentially. Like my social interaction with everybody.
My problem is I'm quiet either way because I'm listening to everybody. So even when I'm not the imposter, I seem sus as hell.
You do. You're very, very quiet. You're very, very quiet. Yeah. So but it's a lot of fun. I mean, I love the like the board game, the tabletop versions of those games, and
it's one of the first things we ever did together.
It's true, yeah. I love those more only because the only way to get better at those games is just to be good at picking up social cues and reading people. There's no mechanical things to track or to be good or bad at. Which a few times when we were playing, because I'm new to the game, I haven't known how to do tasks, and I've been taking a long time to do them, and people are like, oh, you're being very suspicious. And I'm like, no, I'm just not good at this video game yet. I don't know what I'm doing. I was
like me at the vending machine,
yeah.
Being like, I don't know what am I supposed to, where are the numbers I'm supposed to press without noticing that I was looking at a picture and I was supposed to find the picture and press the numbers corresponding to that picture.
Mark says there's a giveaway that 90% of people do.
Please, Mark, enlighten us.
I'm sure he's not going to tell us. He's not going to tell us.
Oh yeah, he's not going to tell us.
Keeping that close to the chest. He's a sweaty. He's a sweaty.
He's sweaty and the least sweaty game imaginable.
Yeah. So we'll definitely play more of that. It's a ton of fun. It's a social cue. That's what I figured, Mark. I figured it was a social cue. That's what it's all about for me, is like training myself to behave in the same way when we go into like those meetings for both times, because it's very easy to get inside your own head when you're the imposter, because it's so much more stressful to be the imposter, because if you're a crewmate and you get killed, it's like, oh no, I got killed, whatever. But when you're the imposter, it's like, you know that everybody is looking for you, and if you mess up once, Mark's gonna know. So you have to be perfect, or you have to seem like you're so dumb that Mark accusing you is just not true, because, oh, I just don't know what I'm doing. Like you have to. Yeah. And then you have to spin it back on Mark to be like, oh yeah, well, how come you know so much? And then you can at least get him off your trail for a little while. There was one that I won when it was you and I, Justin, when we were both the imposters that won, and you got taken out for a kill that I did, just because you happened to be in the hallway right around where it happened, and you got booted out early. And I had to make it through like most of the rounds by myself, and
you did good.
I did it. I was literally sweating at the end. And the thing about it too, I kept forgetting that I would deafen and mute everybody, and then I would just start playing it like I was playing it if I was playing it off stream. And I remember, oh shit, I'm like on stream right now, and I'm not even talking. Like I'm just like doing shit, and I'm very focused. So, but it was a ton of fun. Other than that, I've been playing this game called The Solitaire Conspiracy.
Please enlighten me on how this game. I bought this game. I haven't launched it yet.
So this game is made from Bithell Games, Mike Bithell, who made like the Subsurface Circular and Quarantine Circular, and I think he also made Thomas is Alone.
So, Thomas is Alone
back in the day, which is the game I really know him from.
And also the John Wick game.
Oh right, yeah. Bithell Games did the John Wick game. It is a solitaire game with an FMV wrapping around it. So essentially, it's pretty tongue in cheek. It's like, oh, you've been like brought into like this like spy organization. You're one of a few spy organizations, and you're trying to take down Solitaire, who is like the bad guy or whatever of this world. And when you're actually playing it, it plays sort of like Solitaire, but not completely like Solitaire. The main concepts are there, which is you have like a home where there is you have to line up all your aces when you get them, and you have to build from ace to king on top. But the way you can move your cards around the playfield on the rest of the board is very different. It's so in regular Solitaire, I'm sure most people know, but I know Justin doesn't know because he's never played Solitaire.
I've never played Solitaire.
So Solitaire, Justin, essentially the point is to get rid of all the cards. You essentially have a home row where you have to put the aces down, like I said, and you have to basically for each suit go like 2 to king, diamonds, clubs, spades, and hearts.
I've got the basics of it.
Right. And you can make on the lower stacks, you can start to make chains before you move them up to the aces. So if you have a 5 of clubs on one, you can move a 4 of clubs underneath it or whatever. Or is it like I can't remember right now. It might be opposite suit. I don't remember, but so you can do that. But in this version, the cards on the play field, you can move around however you want, as long as the card you're putting is a lower number than the card you're putting it on top of. But you can stack it on everything. Everybody is freaking out in the chat that Justin's never played Solitaire.
I already went through this once with Bobby this week.
Yeah. He was like, I never had an old person teach me. And I was like, Justin, I just played it on Windows when I was like 7.
I didn't have a computer until I was in high school. So I just never got around to learning. I never picked it up because I was like, I don't know how to play this. And usually, like, I think you have a grandparent teach you how to play solitaire as a kid,
That
and I
never
did
has
not have
happened.
that.
Never happened to me. I never never had a grandparent teach me. I didn't have a grandparent who was like, "Listen, Bobby, it's time for you to learn solitaire."
You know, it's funny because
Rite of passage.
my granddad taught my sisters how to play like a bunch of card games, like taught them how to play hearts and other things like that. And I just never learned. So
Laz just said in the chat. So grandmother in the chat just said, "My grandmother taught me how to play."
I knew it just was. I knew it couldn't be me. So I saw this and I was like, "Oh, this game looks great." And I was like, "But I don't know how to play solitaire." Bobby's just like, "I don't know what to say to you," which is a normal thing he says to me.
Yep. It teaches you how to play their version of solitaire. So, but it also has like modern, card game trappings where the different suits are actually like the different like spy agencies, and the face cards do different things. So, like if you're, I can't remember the name of like the faction you're part of that Greg Miller is the leader of or whatever in this game. Kind of funny is Greg Miller. But if you throw down one of those face cards on top of like one of the piles, it acts like a bomb, and it takes all of the cards underneath that card and spreads them to the top of all the other piles. So you're like, oh, I need this 2 down here. You can use one of their cards, it blows it up, and then you can access the 2 from another pile and put it on top. I played a few hours of it, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It's got like a very good Zen-like sort of, puzzly but numbery, and like a lot of, it puts that part of your brain that just, it's sort of like, it's very therapeutic. That's how it is for me. It's a very therapeutic thing. I was disappointed, however, because it's not optimized for remote play on the iPad. Where you would think that it would be one of the games that would be, since it's a card game. Like Dicey Dungeons is optimized, so I can literally use touch controls on Dicey Dungeons on my iPad to control everything. Yeah. On this, it's like you have to use like a fake keyboard and mouse setup, and it just is not very it's not very intuitive. So I couldn't do it that way. So I've just set my computer to do it, so I haven't played as much. I'm gonna sneeze.
Oh, look at him using that cough button.
Oh,
that's so nice.
Mark says boomers didn't have computers with solitaire on it, so it'd be more excusable. Real boomers, not fake boomers like me. Real boomers didn't have computer solitaire, Justin. But yeah, it's a cool game. The story stuff is very tongue in cheek. I don't really see it as like being much of anything of import, but it's at least sort of clever and funny. And it's weird to see Greg Miller in what looks like just sitting at like the kind of funny desk in the same outfit, in the same like camera shot that he would be doing like a kind of funny thing in, but it's in this video game.
He's very Greg Miller in it.
He's very Greg Miller in it. Yeah. But I'm enjoying it so far. Justin, what else have you played, my friend?
The both of us have played their Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War beta.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
That game has some highs. That game has some lows. I like it.
It's certainly a Call of Duty game.
It is a Call of Duty game. Sometimes it's one of these Call of Duty games that Bobby comes out on top of.
Every once in a while, I do pretty well, and I'm like, oh, maybe I will get this game this time. And then we have a night like we did last night, where the whole night I was like, fuck this game. Like the whole night, I was like, I'm not having any fun at all right now. I was just getting wrecked constantly last night.
We had some rough matches last night. We were playing against some people that knew what was going on, and I was like, I haven't even started to build the class yet. I'm just using these preloaded classes.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely part of it too, is not being able to sort of like build the class that I want with like the guns that I want. Like I really like that shotgun.
You wreck house with that shotgun, apparently.
This like auto shotgun they have, I really like it a lot. But I don't want to be carrying around as my secondary weapon like a scoped burst rifle for every map all the time, and that's like just that class that they've built for the beta.
I love that scope burst rifle.
No, it's good, but I just for certain maps, like if you're on like Miami or something or Moscow or whatever, it's just not the gun I want as my secondary gun. I'd rather have, like an auto rifle with a nice red dot or something on it for that. For like more mid-range encounters. If you're on that terrible sand map, then yes.
I like that map.
Yeah, you're crazy.
We played that map twice, and we played that map twice, and we've won both times.
It's true, we did win, but it doesn't make me have to like it.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, I like it. I'm going to get it. It's Call of Duty, so I'm good for one of those once a year. It definitely feels different than Modern Warfare. It's like almost hard to put into words how different they feel without actually being able to explain it. I mean, the best way that I thought about it was like, there's a difference between playing NBA 2K and like NBA Jam. Like, to me, Black Ops has
wait a second.
Yeah, no, hang on. No, hang on. I'm going somewhere with
different
this.
things.
Nope, I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay, go ahead.
NBA, like, to me, it just feels fast. Like, it's Modern Warfare, even though it's a Call of Duty game, has just a slower feel to it. The maps are a little bit more open. They're bigger. Every map I played so far in this game is we're getting in there, and it's like, it's not shipment type close spaces, but like the maps are tighter and you die faster and you're back in the game faster. Like, it just feels arcadey in a way that Modern Warfare doesn't. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I like the way it feels, but it's those two studios. This one's Treyarch and the other one is
Infinity Ward.
They just have different feelings about them. And it's like, it's nice. It's nice that it feels different because it doesn't feel very samey to Modern Warfare. Okay, shush, Siri. I like it. The guns feel good. They're responsive. There's like almost no what's the word I'm looking for? Like recoil when you're shooting most of those guns. It's like, this is a video game.
I mean, yeah, the maps are tighter. I mean, the player count is also less, right? It's like, I think it's, what is it, 6 on 6?
Yeah.
6 on 6. And 12 on 12 at its biggest. And that, I think 12 on 12 was like the normal map, was like the normal size of the Modern Warfare ones, right? It was something around there. It's like 10? It's like 10 to 12.
At least, yeah. And then their big modes were just ridiculous. Like,
yeah, that was like 30 on 30 or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't really have fun with that. That's Battlefield stuff, not Call of Duty stuff.
Yeah.
But this feels good, and I'm excited to play more of it. I honestly would really like to try Zombies with a group and see what that mode is. Because every time I've ever played Zombies, I played it for like a night with like 2 or 3 people, and it's like, this is interesting, and then we always play something else. And I would actually like to see, like, what is the big deal about Zombies? Why is this like the most popular alternate mode in any game, maybe in history?
I would totally play some Zombies. We played, was it me, you, and Andy played that one night? And we had like a fourth random match who obviously had played like a gajillion times because he knew where everything was. And he was getting like so frustrated with the 3 of us because we didn't know what the fuck we were doing. We were wasting, specials and all that kind of stuff.
Resources, and that guy was not pleased with us. And I was like, okay, we'll never play Zombies ever again. But I would actually really like to know what makes that so popular.
Yeah. Ursa says, I have a shy viewer that says you don't know Dying Fast until you've played Squad. That the PC game Squad? I've only ever seen like Alejandro with the gifted sub. Welcome to the carnival, D. Calise. Alejandro, you've given 12 gifted subs. You are a legend. Justin is correct. You are a legend. Yeah, that Squad game, the games like that game Squad are the kind of games that make me wish more than anything that our friend Andy had a gaming PC, because those are the kind of games that Andy wants to play, which are those like super realistic tactical shooters. But they just don't really live on the consoles. They basically just live on PC.
I mean, you wanna talk about high tactics? We played some matches of Valorant the other night.
Oh god. Super high level tactics. Eh?
And I uninstalled Valorant afterwards. Much to Mark's dismay. We you know what, because we felt bad because like Mark is in our chat right now, good friends.
Yes.
He's been just the best friend for us during this whole streaming thing.
Yeah.
And because we've been so busy streaming, we haven't had time to like get into games that we really want to play, let alone the games that we're like begrudgingly going to play. So the other day we were like, Mark, whatever you want tonight, we're going to play. So Mark was like, oh my God, threw his arms up in the air and he's like, we're going to play Sea of Thieves and then we're going to play Valorant. And so we played some Sea of Thieves and that was a good amount of fun.
Yeah.
We sunk some ships.
Uh-huh.
We did some pirating. Those poor people were just like, we're friendly. And Mark's like, no, the fuck you're not. And we sank them.
That was the best part of the night, was the very end when they were when I was talking to them with the in-game voice chat.
Yeah. They're like, we're just trying to complete a tall tale. And Mark's like, well, that's too bad. We're pirates. And sunk them. And then we played Valorant and Mark goes, we're just going to play a spike rush, which is their like very arcadey mode. Everybody can plant the spike. It's very fast.
Very fast. Yeah. You don't have to buy. The economy isn't a thing.
And we got rolled in all of them. And Mark's like, I've got an idea. Let's put us in a 45-minute one of these with no escape. And for those who know me, I get rather salty when I'm not doing well. And I try and hold it in, and I just get so frustrated. It's like no matter what I do, I always get punished in that game, no matter how passive or aggressive or somewhere in between I am. It's like my head is just gone.
Yeah.
He did exclaim, "That's the pirate life, baby."
Yeah.
In pure Mark fashion. And so yeah, we played some Valorant, and I uninstalled Valorant, and I'm sure that we'll eventually maybe re-download it and take another look at it. But I don't know if we've talked about Rogue Company on the podcast.
We talked about it a little bit. I mean, Mark, so in the chat, once we started talking about Valorant, there's began a debate about tactical shooters on console. And Mark and DeCalise are very adamant that they are garbage on console and won't work. And Cody is taking the opposite side of that argument. I agree. I tend to agree with Cody. I think that the games aren't the same when you bring them to console. Like they behave differently, and it's not exactly the same sort of like feedback or tactics necessarily, because it's just different playing with the controller. But I think games like that can live on a controller. It just has to be, they just have to people realize that it's gonna be a little different. Rogue Company is one such game. It is a tactical shooter. It's a little bit more fast and loose than something like Valorant. It's got you can roll and shoot at the same, like basically at the same time, and your supers you get at the beginning of every single round. So it's definitely got more of like a softer learning curve. We were really enjoying that game, and then we had one really bad night. And Justin hated that game, so we have not played it again since.
No, I'll definitely play that game more. It was just I mean, the thing about that game is it's full crossplay. So,
yes, it is full crossplay. Yeah.
Yeah, we were definitely coming against people playing on a PC who knew what they were doing. And so our experience went from me literally going the night before, like, I think we might be good at this game to I hate this thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Rogue Company. I would definitely play more. We've had some amazing moments in Rogue Company that were full of laughter because of double pirating, or not pirating, putting two exploding knives on the bomb.
Yeah.
When there were two people left, and we were like, man, we messed up, and we were like, oh, at least one of them will die from this exploding knife, and that person did, and then the next person did, and we won the round.
It's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, we put that on our Instagram.
We
did. That was a very good feeling.
That was that game where we were losing like 0-4 or something. Yeah, and then we won like 7 in a row. That was a good feeling. It's that game is a lot of fun. I think that I think it's officially out now, so I think you can
Yes.
get it for free on
Free to play.
console. I'm wondering too, now that it's out, if you're able to mess with the crossplay, if there's more settings. I don't know. But they're saying before about Valorant. Decliff was saying, I also think that if it works on console, if it's exclusively console and not crossplay, yes. If you're playing Valorant crossplay with PC players, that would be a nightmare. Unless they restrict the lobbies, like you can play it on PC with consoles, but you have to use a controller. If they're monitoring inputs, that's one thing. But no, I absolutely agree with you. A game like that can't be that way. Yeah, I agree. Just any shooter, really. I think that we've definitely had like some experiences on with crossplay playing like Call of Duty, which have not been like wonderful, I would say. But I think for the most part, when the player base is big enough, it doesn't matter as much. I think we definitely ran into some people who were like, oh man, can't do that with a controller. But I didn't feel like we were constantly losing, let's say, war zones or whatever because we were facing PC players.
Yeah, I mean, we played Apex the other day, and they're doing their crossplay beta, and
Yeah.
we didn't win any matches, but I was the kill leader in multiple rounds.
Yeah, Cody
Like-
just said controller players on Apex destroy mouse and keyboard players. It's just Apex, especially, I think, is not. We talked about this yesterday or whatever. It's not as big of a deal because the time to kill is much longer, and it's not really a just like whip around, click ahead type of game. It is a like sustained fire, like positioning type of game. Yeah. Mark said key difference, one taps. Exactly. Games with one taps, it definitely becomes an issue for sure. Oh, Cody says it was of course Cody knows this. It was a wildly debated topic in the Apex Pro scene for months.
That's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely have enjoyed my time rewinding all the way back to the Call of Duty beta. I just don't know if it's worth $70 for me right now.
Happy birthday.
You got to buy me the digital version though, Justin. How's that going to work?
I'm going to come to your house.
$70. That's right, Mark. $70 for next generation games. I really want to play that Destruction All-Stars game for $70.
Yeah, that's a rough one. We're going to wait on that guy.
The game that looks like it should be free to play. Like, not in a bad way, just that's what games like that are now. They're free and they have a battle pass.
I mean, look at that game. What was it? What was that Rocket game? Rocket Arena.
Rocket Arena, yeah.
That game launched at $30 and there were microtransactions. And within what? 2 weeks, it went down to $5 and now it's free to play. Like, the market will correct itself.
Yes, for sure.
With I think a lot of these, and they're like, Mark is very against the price increase, and nobody wants a price increase on games as we shift to PS5 talk. I guess nobody wants to pay more money for games, but I mean, in reality, is there hasn't been an increase in the price in games in 2 generations. The Xbox 360 was the start of $60 games.
Yeah, but what they have done though is that every single game now has cosmetics you can buy and battle passes you have to purchase.
Totally.
And I think that, at least for live games or multiplayer games, should be supplanting a increase in price. You know what I mean? Like, if Call of Duty doesn't have to be $70.
No, it doesn't.
That's the part of me. Like, I understand if you're like, and it's probably even harder to do this with games like this, but if you're and I say a game like Ghost of Tsushima, but even that falls outside this because I don't feel like Sony needs to put their games at $70 either. But a game like Ghost of Tsushima, Cyberpunk, let's say Cyberpunk, right? A single player game that doesn't have other monetary streams, let's say, $70 makes sense to me. A Demon's Souls, right? Remake, that type of game makes sense to me. Call of Duty, it doesn't make sense to me that you're charging $70 for it. It just doesn't seem like it needs to happen. But I mean, that's my thought. I don't know what you think, Justin.
I mean, I totally get what you're saying, and yes, I agree. Like, look, if I knew that the extra $10 was going towards production costs of the games, fine. You know,
Yeah.
games do take longer to come out, whatever. Not all games, most games do, like most multiplayer games do, but not all games have battle passes or skins or anything like that. And like, fine, if I knew it was going to like development costs or helping the devs like in any sort of way, fine. We don't know that. We don't know if it's just going to in the CEO's pockets.
Yeah.
And that's the frustrating thing.
Yeah.
Groom makes a good point. I mean, I wish they could charge less for digital releases, but they can't because retailers would kill them on it.
Yeah. Yes, they would. But I also don't I don't feel like I don't think Target or Walmart would care. To be totally honest with you, GameStop always really cared, and I think that was like a big deal for these people for a long time because it was the main place people bought their games. But with GameStop being a non-entity basically at this point, I just I feel like there must be some wiggle room. You know,
I mean that could be the case.
But-
You're right. Probably like the big brick and mortars might not care. And you're right. GameStop isn't going to be a thing for much longer. But yeah, like that's. I mean, it is what it is. There's no going back.
No,
I
there
don't
isn't.
think.
No. And then the only way it goes back is if those games, the sales go down and they need to lower the prices. But I think, and I think Jeff Gerstmann from Giant Bomb mentioned this on one of the podcasts, just that we've gotten to such like a good point right now with like the sort of like the market for games where for so long there was that period of time after the 360 and PS3 came out and up until like a little bit into this generation where it felt like everything was either $10 or it was $60 and like that was it, right? There was like not a lot of in the middle, and we finally got to the point where I feel like we've got a good
Different
diversity.
levels,
Good diversity of like how much stuff costs, where you have your $60 game that's going to come out, your Spider-Man, your Ghost of Tsushima, your whatever. I can't even say Microsoft games anymore because they're all on Game Pass, but you know what I mean. And then you've got your like Remnant from the Ashes, which was $30, you know, or the Squadrons, which is $40. Like those are, you know, they're able to play around with price a little bit more. And something like Destruction All-Stars coming out at $70 just feels like I guess we're just everything has to be the same now. It doesn't make any sense to me what these companies are thinking as far as.
Well, I would say let's see 6 months from now where everything's at. It's a launch game, so I would assume that they're going to overprice any launch games. But like you're right, we're in a good place with all that stuff right now, and I don't foresee them going anywhere with them. But if the main games get raised up to 70, do the $40 games now cost 50? Do the $30 games now cost 40?
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing too is, I mean, if you don't want to pay that price, the $70, which is totally fine and understandable, at least Sony's pretty aggressive about putting their stuff, and I won't put Microsoft here because all their stuff is on Game Pass.
Yeah.
But at least Sony is pretty aggressive in discounting their games.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
And so if you wanted to wait for the sale, that's definitely an option.
Mm-hmm.
But it sucks that at launch we're going to have to go to $70 for things.
Yeah.
I bought a lot of PSN gift cards today for such purchases.
I mean, the nice thing is, even though I'm getting both consoles, I only have to buy games for one of them. My existing like subscription services carries over for the other one. So
my Game Pass subscription ended yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's on automatic renewal, but like
okay.
I had gotten one on sale, so it was like $30 for 3 months instead of the usual 45.
Yeah.
And so now I'm just like monthly at 15 until I could find another deal.
Yeah.
I really wish I had done that deal where it was like you could buy 3 years for $30 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it.
Right when it launched, I got like that $1 a month thing, and it extended your if you had a gold membership, it extended it through that. So basically, I was doing $1 a month for like 16 months or something like that because of the thing. And then it finally, like a couple months ago, right now I'm paying $15 a month or whatever. But yeah. What else? So we saw what the inside of a PS5 looks like. We saw its guts.
It's huge.
We saw them guts.
I think it's no joke.
We saw them guts.
Oh God. I got to take that away from you.
Can't. I'm sorry. Can't take it away from me.
It is a damn big console.
It is huge. It's a huge thing. Oh, Green says, reminder, Prime Day is tomorrow, as well as Walmart, Target, and Best Buy deals.
Interesting.
So get ready for that. It is huge. They tore it open. It seems like it shall be a production to do any sort of swapping. I mean, it didn't look like it was difficult to swap out the NVMe if you really wanted to. But definitely more difficult than it is right now to swap out a hard drive in the PS4, which is literally just like you can just slip off the cover.
I thought you could add memory to it though pretty easily. It's just a cover you have to pop off and then you slide the stick in.
Oh, is that it?
That's it.
Oh, okay. I must have misunderstood what they were saying.
Yeah, no. To add, it's one screw. You pop the screw off, and it's right there on the side of the console.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
You just slide the new the expansion drive in.
Oh, that's cool. So you can actually add. You don't have to replace the drive that's in there currently. You can actually just add another NVMe inside of it. Justin?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Another M2 drive, I mean.
Yes.
Okay.
Gen 4.
Gen 4. Oh, that's right. Because they just started, like, I just saw him at Wario 64 or whatever, like being like, I think this one's compatible or whatever, and tweeting out like.
Sony hasn't released their list yet of what's officially compatible yet.
They haven't. That's I'm definitely gonna buy one though. It's not enough space.
Yeah, it's not enough space, especially if they haven't said yet. Because we assumed like there's no way they really created a custom 860 gig hard drive, right? That's got to be like a terabyte, and they're saying 860 is the available. But nope, it's 860, which means we probably get somewhere around 680, 700 at the most.
Yeah.
That's not enough space.
Yeah. Remember when these consoles launched and they had 500 gigabytes?
Hey, Maddie, how you doing?
Hey, Maddie. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you stopping by, even though you're at work. So, yeah, they also showed like the liquid metal cooling thing and a bunch of other tech stuff. That heatsink, which is just huge. That heatsink is huge. That's in that thing. And that giant fan that's inside of it as well.
It seems like, and Japanese streamers and some outlets got their hands on it and were able to like test it, and supposedly the thing does not get hot and is whisper quiet.
Yep. Oh, that's what they say. So we'll see how it holds up over time. Is the more of the thing that I'd be concerned about. Yeah. It better be quiet because it's gonna have to sit on top of my fucking entertainment center. Because it's the most stupidly shaped thing in the world.
It's so big.
It's so big.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put that thing. Mark said you're gonna have to put that thing diagonally in your cabinet.
I told him I'm gonna put it ass out because I don't know how else to do it. Also, in order to switch it from like vertical to horizontal, you have to like unscrew the stand and like move it to the other side. And like it's like cool that they like either they included a stand this time and that it's removable and changeable, because in the past you had to buy like stands for the current consoles. You had to buy stands for them. The stand for the Xbox One S is actually very nice. But I'm very happy that they're built in. I just sort of wish, and I understand like the the engineering reason behind like don't have two like two stands on it, one that's vertical and one that's horizontal at the same time or whatever, because they want it to look nice or whatever. But like I really wish you didn't have to like unscrew something to move the stand. It's like a little ridiculous.
Like how Xbox was like, here's how you turn the Series X on its side.
Yeah.
They showed them just flipping it over.
Yeah, they took that tweet down. as well. I don't know why. It was a good dunk tweet, but maybe they're like, guys, maybe just back off a little bit.
Maybe just back off because apparently these systems are on fire. They generate a lot of heat, apparently.
Jeff Buglar from the Giant Animal Cast says so.
Yeah. Guru makes a good point. Only 10 PS4 games will not move over to PS5.
Yeah, that's what
And
they have a
they're,
list of 10. Yeah.
It's not a very big. It's not like any big bangers on that list.
No, not really. No. Some in the select grouping will get like a boost mode, performance boost from the PS5.
Like Ghost of Tsushima goes to 60 frames a second on the PS5.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm playing that game right now.
Yeah.
I just started it and I was like, should I wait? And then I realized I don't have anywhere to put the damn disc.
Oh, you have it on disc?
I have it on disc.
Oh, yeah. Oh, too bad, man. Games of the Generation sale. Time to hit that one up before it goes away.
I know. I'm going to have to rebuy Persona.
Yes, you are. Sorry, I switched to your camera because I had to blow my
That's
nose.
okay. I forgot to mention one other thing that I've been toying around with.
What have you been toying around with, Justin?
We've been toying around with Overwatch.
We don't have to talk about Overwatch.
No, we don't have to talk about Overwatch, but I saw Maddie in the chat and it reminded me of it because they have Halloween skins I need to go look at.
The state of that game is something.
It's a mess.
It's something.
It's a mess right now on console and on PC. I expected the queue times on PC to be better than they were on console, and they're worse. But when you're playing with a mostly full group, it's still the same experience, but it's still fun.
Yeah, we talked about this. I don't know. We didn't do a podcast about this, obviously, because it's been a long time since we podcast and we talked about this extensively, maybe on a stream or something like that. But like, for a game that so many people are still playing, it feels like Blizzard doesn't give a shit about the game at all.
It does not.
And then today, and maybe it's because it came out like right on that line of like live game explosion, and it was like they were sort of one of the. I remember it was a big deal because the game had no campaign and it was coming to console and it was going to be $40 or whatever,
60 on console.
Oh, because when it came out, you only get the Origins edition or whatever. That's right. Yeah. But a big deal, right? And now so many big multiplayer games that come out that have this continuing live sort of attention and updating, and Overwatch just feels like it's like half a step behind like those games.
Overwatch feels archaic in comparison to some of these other games. And I love Overwatch. I love it to death. But I understand Cody's making a point in the chat. They're working on Overwatch 2, absolutely. But even at the time when Overwatch was in its biggest spike in people playing it and its popularity, their schedule release for maps and characters was so slow. And like, you're right, it skirts this line between live game and like free DLC. And I think you did bring this up on a stream. It's just so weird. Like, that game never has any of the spikes that bring people back to it.
Yeah.
Like Apex, like, oh, there's a new character in Apex. There's a new character in Valorant. There's a new character in this game. Let's get back in there and check it out. Oh, there's a new map. Let's get back in there and check it out. Overwatch never had any of that. The only reason we ever returned to it was because we were like, that game plays really good. Let's just go back and play it because that's something that six of us can play together and we all don't hate it. And I love Overwatch, but still, like, it never had that cadence of like a release schedule where it was just like it wanted to bring you back in. You just went back to it because it plays so damn good.
We got Maddie fired up talking bad about Overwatch.
Yeah, I mean, it would also be helpful if they would say a goddamn thing about the sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, perhaps they have, and I just haven't seen it. But I feel like if they had said anything, I would have picked up on that radar somewhere.
Yeah, well,
that they had said like, "Hey, this is what's going on with 2. Here's a concept for a new hero we're working on." Something.
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone's busy just quitting Blizzard right now, so I think that's probably the other the other
Yes,
problem.
probably another problem. I don't know if any of that has been on the Overwatch
I don't
side.
think, no, I don't think so. But I just think Blizzard is like hemorrhaging people right now.
Yeah, I know,
Um,
but it's just like Cody says, virtual BlizzCon is in January, but
Mhm.
like that's not enough. The last time they talked about Overwatch 2 in any real form was last BlizzCon.
yeah,
And you look at other games and it's like, we're going to talk about our release. Like we're talking about this. We're talking about this. This is what we're thinking about down the line. And it keeps people coming back to those games. I think Overwatch 2 is going to actually run into a problem if they come out on console and they're like, this is $60. And yes, all the DLC is free, but expect a new character every 8 months.
yeah.
And you'll be happy about it.
The only thing they have a good, the only thing that I think is in their favor with that is just that because all the Overwatch 1 stuff and Overwatch 2 multiplayer stuff is sort of
Together.
you have a big suite of things. And I think that that's a good value proposition. And
I mean, that'll definitely help the player pace of that game for sure.
Yeah, but I think it's gonna make people who want to like commit, want to see, I think, the issues of the old game be left behind for a new game are gonna leave them frustrated, or even if the frustrations aren't real, give them a reason to be frustrated because they can blame it on, well, if they had just cut the cord and made this a fresh game, they could have fixed all these problems, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Anytime you give anybody a possibility of an excuse, they will use that excuse as a reason why they're not liking the game. And I think that that's a very real issue for them. I think as well, the Blizzard, when Overwatch launched, Blizzard was still Blizzard. It was like, oh man, they put out, like, every game they put out is amazing and their track record is like, impeccable, and like, listen to the story behind this game. This was supposed, they were going to make this other huge game all this time on, but they didn't like it, so they scrapped it, and whatever. It was like a good story, and now I feel like they don't have that same cachet anymore. And
they definitely not.
And there are so many other shooters out there that I think that they're going to have a problem with, oh, who cares about Overwatch anymore, for a good chunk of people. Not the people who love the game, obviously, but they're going to be the mass audience. I think you're going to run into some people just kind of being like, oh, who cares? And I never would have said that a couple of years ago.
Especially, and I don't think this was a problem at the time, but because I remember arguing with people like, look, this game costs $60, like all the DLC is going to be free. But at the time, there was like, Smite was free. And it's like, yeah, but this isn't going for what Smite's going for.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how many games get released for free that just like, oh, just pay for your loot boxes if you want them. And if not, no bigs, just play it for like,
yeah.
It's going to definitely run into a problem with that.
Yeah. I mean, let's see. They might change. You never know what's going to happen. We don't know when the game's coming out. As Cody said, Jeff Kaplan doesn't know when the game's coming out. By the time it comes out, maybe Activision changes up the model and they go like, Warzone free to play thing.
That would be good. That'd be exciting.
Mark, I think the pro level stuff matters to people who are like super invested in Overwatch, but most people don't give a shit, about the pro scene. Most people play Overwatch probably have never watched an Overwatch League match. It doesn't help their sort of like public perception, that's for sure, with the diehard, because they have never been able to really, that, and like the Twitch numbers have never been like fantastic with Overwatch unless there was an Overwatch League, games going on a day. So that sort of like zeitgeist thing has eluded them, I think, for the last few years, when I think they were hoping that the pro scene and all that stuff would sort of like elongate them in sort of like the zeitgeist, but it did not.
Yeah. You want to get into some questions?
Yes.
Before we end up going 2 hours.
Yeah. So Cody asked, someone named Comic Book Cody in our Discord asks, what's your current game of the year versus what you think will be your game of the year at the end of the year?
Bobby and I were having this discussion at 2:00 in the afternoon before this question was asked.
Really weird that this question popped in first. I think we were literally talking about this when this question came in.
Yeah. So my game of the year is a little weird right now because I think I would say Persona 5 Royale, but the problem is I didn't actually play any of the Royale part. I just played Persona 5 because I don't want to get into it. So am I going to say that Royale is my favorite game of the year since technically all I did was play 2016's Persona 5? That's a little bit of a weird spot for
But
me.
there's different stuff, even forgetting that part. There's different stuff, different
Yeah,
characters and different. The storylines are a little bit different.
I would say it's either going to be that if I add that in or not, or it's going to be Hades. If it's not Persona 5, it's Hades and a runaway freight train. Hades is just so freaking good. And like I said, every minute that I'm not playing Hades, I'm thinking about playing Hades. I'm listening to that soundtrack. I'm wondering how this story ends. I'm definitely going to buy it when it comes out on console so I could play it on my TV instead of at my desk. But yeah, that would be it for me. And what I expect it to be, I expect it to be one of those two games. Bobby and I were talking about this before. Like, I don't see anything on the horizon that could possibly unseat it, even counting Cyberpunk. But Bobby made a good point. God of War was my game of year until I played Return of the Obra Dinn. But I at least knew about Return of the Obra Dinn and knew like I think I have to play this game before Game of the Year, and then it beat it. But yeah, I don't see what else it could be right now.
Important breaking news question from Maddie in the chat. How does it feel to continually kill your friends and be the imposter despite a room reset, Justin?
You missed this part of the conversation, Maddie. It felt real bad. It also felt real bad when I was getting so frustrated and I just started going ham and like, I'm going to become a rogue agent and just kill anybody at any time. And I killed, I think it was Bobby. And Maddie was literally in the room next to me, and I tried to shuffle the blame onto her.
Yeah.
Almost worked.
It didn't work. It didn't almost work.
It almost worked.
It was an ill-advised kill on your part.
Well, when you're the killer 13 times in a row, gotta spice it up somehow.
For me, honestly, it's been such a weird year.
It definitely has.
With games and so many things getting pushed off and so many things being shifted around and just the general sort of like stress of all these past few months that I haven't played nearly as much new stuff as I normally would have at this point in October of the year in which we're going to be doing a game of the year. I think that for me right now, even not playing as much of it as you, it's for me probably the way it's Hades, probably the way I feel right now. But as far as what it's going to be come December, January, that I don't know. Because
Genshin Impact,
game of the year. Because, for me, usually my game of the year ends up being either something I've long been expecting or something that completely comes out of nowhere for me. And I haven't really had that comes out of nowhere feeling yet with something. So I'm wondering if that game is going to show up. It's going to be something. There's still games I still need to play through. Like I still need to finish Final Fantasy VII Remake. I still need to really give some time to like a game that you didn't love, Justin, but I'm really interested in, like Kentucky Route Zero, which is like a definitely like up my alley type of game. So for me, over the next couple of months, it's gonna be a lot about playing stuff that I started that I didn't finish, or stuff that I've been meaning to pick up that I haven't picked up. And then waiting to see what's like on the horizon, what's gonna come out. I mean, the Demon Souls remake is definitely something that has potential for me to be up there.
Yeah, it does.
The Miles Morales, game also has the potential to be high on that list. Those are the things that I can think of that are coming that I'm just not sure about yet.
I mean, we've been doing this podcast for, I don't know, 6 years. Just feels like forever sometimes. And this time of year is always like crunch time. Like, oh God, here come all the games. And we have a podcast that we're going to record in December or January. And it's like, I must complete all these games. And all the games I have this year to complete are going to be these like massive open world games.
Yeah.
Like I just started Ghost of Tsushima. It's one of our later questions. Megs asked, When am I starting Final Fantasy VII? Next. I would like to take a look at Genshin Impact, and then I have Assassin's Creed and Cyberpunk and the worst titled video game of all time, maybe, to play. Phoenix Rising.
Oh yeah, that game
A
looks
lot
cool.
of open world games.
Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity, Justin.
I would try that.
Yeah.
It looks interesting.
Yeah.
But the only thing I can think about playing right now is Hades, and when I'm not playing Hades, and it's like I really should be playing Ghost of Tsushima right now because I got to get this game. I got to put more time into it to see if it's worth continuing because I'm not there yet, and I'm like, but I just unlocked the gun in Hades, and that thing looks real good.
Yeah.
I'll be excited if we agree on the game of the year. It won't make for a great show if we both agree, but I'll be excited that I won't have to fight you for
We've
once.
agreed before. It's
Rarely.
happened.
Rarely.
It's happened though.
It has happened.
You just think of like those two like really contentious years, and you just like sort of like expand it out to every single time we've had a game of the year discussion.
Because you and I fall into like the same category where it's like my 1 is your 2 or 3, and your 1 is my number 2, and we have to be like, who's giving in this year?
Yeah.
It's not like my number 1 is not even on your list. That's the problem. Like, that doesn't really ever happen.
Yeah. Except when you put Fallout 4 on our top 5 when you had played like 10 hours of it that year.
That's not true. It was longer than 10 hours.
It was something like that. Go back and listen.
It was like 15 hours.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Just plenty of time for a Fallout game.
Yeah. They're not 100-hour games at all. So our other question from Hugh. We're yet to see the PS5 UI or be told what features the system software has. What are you expecting to see, and what feature would you want it to have above all others?
That quick resume feature sounds real nice.
Yeah, we know it has it. They've mentioned that they're going to have quick resume for multiple games. They haven't said like, nobody has it or can talk about it yet.
I think the PlayStation UI is actually pretty good. I thought the PlayStation 4 UI is pretty good. For me, it works. I know some people would like something different, but for me, if it's not broken, don't fix it. I would really love if when I was playing Call of Duty, it didn't lock my console up.
Well, yeah, that better be one of the things that's different.
Yeah. I think, and I saw a tweet about this, that the UI is not fully done yet. And that's why we haven't seen it. Because we would have seen the PlayStation 4. We saw the PlayStation 4 UI at this point leading up to the PlayStation 4. We're about a month away. We're exactly a month away.
Yeah.
So it's very strange. I mean, we know the Xbox is keeping pretty much the Xbox One UI, just a more snappy version of it.
Yeah.
Why hasn't PlayStation said anything?
Yeah.
Why haven't they said we're keeping the PlayStation 4 one? It's just going to look a little cleaner.
Yeah.
Like, we have no idea what they're doing.
No idea. I hope they still.
I'm very excited to see it though.
I hope they still let me put my games into folders.
I can't believe you do that. It's
why? It's like the best.
It looks so messy. I love seeing the game bar. I love seeing like, all right, what have I been doing lately? I was like, oh, that's right. Remnant from the Ashes is still like way down here before it disappears into the ether. I could see like it's at the end of the list and it's like, goodbye. And you wave goodbye as like the next game comes in and it falls into that like, it's in your game's library, but it's not important enough to be in these 15 games.
I love it because I can organize them. I can be like, here are the shooters. Here are like the other multiplayer games that I have that aren't shooters. Here are like the games I'm currently like playing but haven't finished, that's a big folder. It's very easy. I like to organize things in that way, so it helps me out. So I'm assuming that the share functionality is going to be much more robust this time around. I'm thinking like their whole sort of like whatever they're pushing to Twitch is going to be more fully featured and higher quality. I think last time around it was like, if you remember, it was like, oh wow, crazy, you can just stream right to Twitch from the system. And now I feel like it's going to be something, the quality is not very good though. And like, the way you have to like, you can't have a camera on while you're streaming unless it's actually on your screen, like on your PS4 or, right now, if you're going to put a camera out to Twitch. So
It'd be nice if they would let you use any camera. That would be nice.
yeah, well, this is where both systems have a so with a PlayStation, you can use any USB microphone you want as long as it's like a simple regular like you could plug in that microphone that you're using right now, Justin, into your PS4 and use it as a chat mic and also use it as a streaming mic. You can't do that with Xbox. The Xbox, you have to like use whatever their weird proprietary shit is unless you're plugging it right into the controller. But on an Xbox, you can use any webcam you want as a webcam. PlayStation, it's not like that. Obviously, you have to use their low quality, stupid webcam that they charge you $70 for or whatever. The fact that they're selling their own camera again makes me feel like
They're not
going to do that. It's not a very Sony-like thing. And I don't know what Xbox deal is if they're going to let you just plug in a USB microphone anymore. That'd be real nice, but I don't know if that's going to be their deal or not. I would like a unification on like the invite system across the like the UI, because there are times like, and I'm sure some of it's developer based, but like there are times where it's like I send you an invite in Call of Duty and you have to go out to your system menu to answer it, and the other games where you send an invite and you can answer it in the game. And I just wish as like as a cert thing for PlayStation, they were like, look, everybody's got to do it the same way, so it makes sense across the board. You know, like that's
Do you know
the thing
what I really wish that they would do? And they won't. At least PlayStation won't. Maybe Xbox, but I doubt it. I would like to see Discord integration.
Oh yeah,
into one of these systems.
Yeah.
In a big way. Because it's frustrating when we're playing crossplay or cross-platform on things, and Andy's like, well, I have to use Discord on my phone and then I can't hear the TV. It'd just be so nice if we could be like, just log on. We're in the same thing. We're in the same room. You're on console, we're on PC. That would be really nice. I just don't see Sony ever allowing it, and Microsoft maybe, but they spend so much money getting that Skype.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't even really use the Skype thing anymore. The nice thing about Microsoft, at least in that factor, is on Windows, you can just open the Xbox app. You just open the Xbox app and use that cross-platform on your PC, which is nice.
I did have a feeling one day that Discord would be integrated into the PS5, Mark. But when Discord first got big, I was like, this thing is going to be huge, and I thought for sure Sony would be like, we're gonna let you do it.
Yeah.
Now I don't think so. It'd be nice if they did, though.
I just wish with crossplay that they would come up with an app for, a desktop that was like a PSN party app or something, and you could just join a party from your PC logged in from your Sony account. Like if they just did that, that would be a great solve for that kind of thing. I just don't know if they'll ever do that, but I'm expecting the UI to look the same pretty much as the PS4, maybe just like you said, a little bit snappier and a little bit maybe prettied up in some way. But I don't know. The thing I don't like about the I don't know, I just the system of like the game bar and then the bar above it, and like I don't know, I just it's weird that you have to go into like the notifications tab to reach the downloads tab. It's just like some of it feels like they definitely started like sticking stuff on top of each other to try to solve problems, and now hopefully they're starting from scratch. They can.
I mean, it could just be that I'm used to it, and it could be just that the Xbox Ones was so bad for so long that Sony just always felt really good. And I'm sure there's a better answer for whatever the PlayStation 4 UI is, but like I said, it was so much better than the competitions for a while. I was like, this is fine. It's functional, and I like the way that it looks.
Yeah.
Is that it for questions?
I think that is it for questions. Let me just make sure. Yes, that is it for questions. That's it for questions.
All right.
And I think that's gonna be it for our podcast as well, Justin. Then
we kept it under 2 hours.
We did keep it under 2 hours. It's a miracle for us.
It is.
It's a miracle for us. So I will be back on Wednesday playing Phasmophobia.
I'm excited to watch that
with Cody. He's going to join me for that one. I'm excited to play it. That game just blew up on Twitch. Blew
It's crazy.
up. Like I saw it at like 90,000. Mark said he saw it like 160K or something like that. Crazy. I don't know how it happened, where it happened, but it blew up. I'm excited to play it. It was like $13 on Steam. I'm gonna play that, and then on Friday I'm gonna start my mission to start beating games that I need to beat before the end of the year, and I'm gonna pick up my save and do Maternal and start playing through that. It is
Rad.
so hot right now, Mark. So hot right now.
So hot.
And then yeah, and then we'll be back again next week with another podcast. Justin and I will discuss over the week what we're gonna do. I'm thinking maybe we do that other podcast that we've been talking about a lot, Justin.
Yes.
Because 2 weeks in a row.
As I shake my head, knowing exactly which one you're talking about. I know.
That other podcast that I talked about.
That other podcast that we talked about.
Yes. I am gonna rip and tear, Groon. Gonna rip and tear.
Groon, pressure him into just finishing Persona on stream.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So that way it gets done.
I'm gonna stream for 8 hours a day, every day.
Oh, I'm excited. Could you imagine such a thing? I would watch all 8 hours.
And finish the game in 6 months. That's gonna do it. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Bobby Shortle. You can see it on the screen if you're watching live. Justin is at Parkley76. We are Misadventurland TV on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Misadventurland. If you're listening to the podcast and you want to be part of this live business, 9 p.m. every Monday. That's the plan anyway. We'll be doing a podcast. So join in live, hang out with the chat. It would be a lot of fun. Next week, since Justin doesn't remember what the podcast was that I was talking about, I'll say out loud right now what we're gonna do. Justin and I were doing something. We don't have a title for it yet, but it's gonna be like an MCU focused podcast, MCU and beyond, or we might call it, because we're gonna talk about MCU news. We're also maybe talk about some comic book stuff. So that's gonna be one of the other like regular show we're gonna do. And then the third show is gonna be a floater. We're gonna have to figure that out. But we got like 3 weeks to figure that out because we got another game podcast in between those two. So yeah. Got plenty, all the time in the world for that. Come join the Discord, hang out with us. Thank you to everybody who has been watching. Justin, did you have something you wanted to say?
No, the Discord's growing.
Discord is growing.
We're getting new people, and it's nice to see it growing. And yeah, please come join the party.
I hit the @everyone button today, and it said, "Warning: you're gonna send this to 40+ people."
Yeah,
I'd never said that before.
Groom, we'll talk about Swords of X.
So
I have thoughts.
I'm making my little baby steps back into reading books.
I'm excited.
So we're gonna definitely talk about some stuff. I'm behind, so I'm gonna have to figure out like if we get going on this, we have to do it regularly. Like I'm right now I'm just doing Marvel Unlimited, so I'm like months behind. But if there ends up being series that I love, I'll end up catching up on them. Grun says DM him, Justin. Talk about Swords of X.
We will.
But yeah, so until Wednesday, we'll be streaming 9 p.m. twitch.tv/Misadventurland. Thank you so much, Justin.
Thank you, Bobby.
And thank you to everybody who's been watching. Until next time, be good to one another. Later.